A very good morning to our honorable and respected lecturer, Sir Peter. My name is Janata Rao, and today I will be giving my presentation for today's topic, which is unveiling the university students' transportation preferences. All right. So first, we have to understand campus stability as it pertains to how the university students use their specific modes of transportation. So first we have traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is when students have trouble with transporting themselves as there is a lot of other vehicles blocking roads and creating disturbances. And by doing so, they may not be able to use their transportation to the best of their abilities. Second, we have accessibility. Most students have not gotten the access to a particular transportation mode. Therefore, it's not really accessible for them to transport themselves all the time. For example, if they have a metro card or they don't have a vehicle, then they can only transport themselves occasionally. Moving on from that, we have to talk about the environmental impact. Most students are aware of their carbon footprint and wish to reduce the amount of pollution they exude immensely, before they die. And then fourth, we have to talk about the community integration. So enabling the students to use their modes of transportation allows them to integrate more concisely with the community that is present in their campuses. And fifth, we have to talk about how campus stability can improve the health and well-being. When students they occupy themselves, uh, transport themselves throughout the campus using their own modes of transportation, they end up, improving the health and well-being. For example, if students choose to walk as their mode of transportation, then it increases their health and makes them more fit. If students choose to ride a car, maybe they feel better about not having to walk everywhere. So it's mostly up to the students in that regard. And lastly, we have to talk about its parking availability. So when students reuse certain modes of transportation, such as cars or even public transportation, um, they have to use they have to place their vehicles in the available parking spots. And sometimes when everybody else in the campus has a vehicle that they own, then the vehicle that they own they don't have enough room for their own vehicles. Therefore, there isn't enough room for students to use their own personal vehicles. So let's get into the actual statistics. All right, so as you can see from this pie chart displaying the results of our respondents for their most prevalently used mode of transportation. The most common mode of transportation is public transport, and this is because metro cards and taxis and Grab or Maxim, these uh, transportation modes are always available and they make it quick and easy and stress free. You don't have to worry about car keys, you don't have to worry about being late because there is always a set time that they will arrive. And they're convenient, which is the most important part of using transportation. So the second most used is walking, and this is because most students actually live in the campuses. Therefore, they don't require modes of transportation that like cars, I mean, or personal vehicles, or bicycles, or public transportation. They much prefer walking to class, and that is perfectly fine. As walking can increase their level of fitness and it makes people more energetic. Thirdly, we have bicycles. Now, most people choose bicycles because the campus of certain universities allow students to rent government-owned bicycles. And by using these bicycles, students can cycle to their destination whenever they want, and this allows them to maintain or improve their level of fitness while also giving them some fun. Walking to your destination could be kind of boring, but if you're cycling, then it's kind of fun. However, there are a few risks involved. For example, there might be a few stairs or ledges that might seem a bit unstable. So if you were to fall off those ledges, it would be quite unfruitful. So fourth, we can talk about how some students, about 15% of students, use personal vehicles, and this is because most people who live in the area surrounding their campus with their families are often allowed and often do have their own personal vehicles that they buy and they park within the campus that they can use whenever they want. And this is extremely prevalent and most often used in students who are seniors, who are in their fourth or fifth or in the semester that is about to end their year of studying at that particular university campus. And this is because it's convenient. You just have to worry about your car keys, just have to worry about the parking availability, and that ultimately proves that it's convenient as you can just get into your car whenever you want. The only problem would be the price of fuel and other amenities that are required when owning a car. However, that doesn't seem like an issue for 15% of the respondents of this university. So, lastly, the least common method of transportation within university campuses appears to be carpooling. And this is due to the fact that carpooling is the act of sharing a car or a vehicle between two or more people. And this can save time and cost. If everybody chimes in and pays for fuel or pays for maintenance of the vehicle, then carpooling with friends could be a viable option as a mode of transportation for university students in campuses. Now that we've discussed the mode of transportation, let's go over the reasons for transportation choices. So the most used reason that was given by the respondents are the costs. So 35% of our respondents believe that costs are the number one reason for their transportation choices. And this is very evident. For example, when you use public transportation, you often have to pay a monthly subscription for a card, for example, a Metro card or a bus card. And these cards are very convenient. However, they are quite costly as you have to make sure that you always have an amount available to pay for the cards. Uh, and other modes of transportation, such as walking, doesn't cost a thing at all. So, cost is really important as you weigh the options for deciding on how you maneuver through a campus. So, the second reasons for their specific transportation choices are convenience. If you look at the convenience of walking compared to the convenience of, let's say, um, public transportation, you understand that walking is a bit uncomfortable. In this weather of this country, it's always hot and it's raining. So walking may be less convenient. However, it may get the job done in getting you from point A to point B. However, when you are getting on a bus, well, the bus might come with air conditioning, you don't have to walk, and overall it's much more convenient if you just need to get to a specific bus stop or a place at a time that so that your preferred public transportation may come and fetch you to your required or desired location. So third, we have the environmental concerns. So most students who do not wish to contribute to the pollution of the earth and are very aware of their carbon footprint on this planet. It appears that most students wish to minimize their contribution to global warming the and the emissions of greenhouse gases. And thus they wish to, and in order to do this, they will either walk to class, carpool, or use public transportation as a way to use as little fossil fuels and gases as possible. Now, the now a minority in this pie chart is the time efficiency, only occupying 15% of the pie chart. Most students prefer to get to their location as fast as possible, using the least amount of energy required, and sometimes that may be used and viable by, for example, public transportation. If you are using public transportation, it may take less time than walking to get to their destination. That's an example of how being efficient with the time the university students spend in moving to the campuses is important. Now, the other 5% have other reasons. Maybe the respondents, they fear as though that the public transportation, I mean, the modes of transportation and their public transport, sorry, their transportation choices may not fit within the categories provided, and thus they may provide an other explanation or choice for their own transportation choices. So, frequency of use. When we get into it, we can see that students in campuses use most of them, well, 40%. They use their modes of transportation daily, and that makes sense as students they have class every single day from Monday to Friday, and then maybe these students they need modes of transportation to get out of the campus. Maybe they wish to go to malls or watch a movie at a cinema. So it's understandable that 40% of our respondents use their modes of transportation every day. So it seems that 30% of our respondents use public transportation 2 to 3 times a week, which makes sense. Maybe they prefer to walk a little minority of the time, and then they choose their preferred mode of transportations the majority of the time. you know okay, so moving on, some of our respondents, about 20%, they occasionally use their preferred mode of transportation, and this is due to either not wanting to, or maybe they just find it more convenient to walk. Either way, um, the way that they perceive themselves enough to choose their own is certainly commendable. Occasionally using their mode of transportation to get to where they need to be, it feels as though they don't have that much going on, to the point that they rarely feel the need to use these modes of transportation to get to where they need to be. And lastly, 10% of this pie chart and our respondents rarely use their modes of transportation to get to where they be. So I guess this means that they would not prefer to walk, or they don't prefer to get they don't really feel the need to use public transportation. They don't feel the need to carpool. They know how to get to their destination, and they don't feel the need. Maybe they have online classes, or maybe they barely get out, so they don't feel the need to use public transportation. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Now uh, Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that I'm in your good graces. Thank you, and goodbye.